Is there such a thing as coincidence in your life as a growing Christian? Can you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the right time? Or does God control and guide your destiny, even in the people you meet, in the places you visit, in the particular times involved? Coincidence or predestined purpose? From Ephesians this morning, remember that He works all things after the counsel of His will. Thank you again, Nellie, for that reading. Nothing happens by pure chance or accident. In what appears to be merely fortunate or unfortunate circumstance is really the outworking of God's plan. Paul had visions. He wasn't exactly sure of the meaning at times, but the purpose was revealed in faith. God talks to us in many ways. Answered prayers, beliefs, gut feelings, nature, conversations with others, and coincidences. But the situations that some people would routinely shrug off as coincidence may have another explanation, that God is really at work in our lives. How do you feel about coincidences? Have you ever experienced things in your life that as you look back now, you see how the pieces fit, bringing you to where you are today? Sometimes coincidences are kind of scary, startling when they happen to us because they are so unexpected and they give us a feeling of something that is meant to be. Have you or someone you know had an experience with a remarkable coincidence by the hand of God? A personal experience that I have is when I was married before. We were transferred to Iowa for 4 years with my husband's job. We didn't want to pay taxes on a home, so we looked into purchasing a mobile home. The ones I liked were House of Harmony, which were at the time constructed in Reedsburg. Now, we'd never been in this part of Wisconsin, so we traveled here, picked out carpet, curtain colors, and so forth right from the plant. The mobile home was then brought to Iowa. When the 4 years were completed, we were told that we would be transferred, and we had no idea where this was going to be. And they said, the Baraboo area. Well, we had remembered Reedsburg, and we liked it very much, so we decided to move there. The first person we met was at the bank for a house loan. The loan officer's name was Philip Gnatzig. 7 years later, I met my current husband, Lee Gnatzig. Coincidence? Or part of the whole plan? Bringing me to Reedsburg and now to Merrimack, and he's not done with me yet. Maybe some of you have had several similar puzzle pieces that come together, especially the older we get, we have more experiences. He's not done with you yet. I believe that miracles happen daily. Some are large, some small, but all are capable of showing us God's hands in the mix if we're willing to open our eyes and expand our visions a bit. In 1 Corinthians 15:44, Paul says, there is a physical body as well as a spiritual body. Now, if I would give an explanation to this text, it might read, there are physical senses, so there have to be spiritual senses. Our physical senses are incapable of recognizing the spiritual dimension which surrounds us. So we need spiritual senses to connect us with the other side of our God-given nature. Coincidence is one of those senses. Much of our life is cause and effect, which we can understand as rational people. Coincidence is a reminder of the side of things that occur with no apparent cause, or a cause we may not be aware of at the time. Bernie Siegel, who's a medical doctor and author of Peace, Love, and Healing, describes coincidences as God's way of remaining anonymous. In It may be that through the undiscovered law that controls coincidence, God is trying to communicate with us. We need to take these experiences more seriously. Seek them out, recognizing when they happen, and learn what they have to teach us about the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. The Bible is filled with dreams and visions, making it clear that this is one of the ways God communicates with us. The Old Testament not only promises that age will be no barrier, but that even women and servants, and in that day neither had any legal rights, would be blessed by God's Spirit. The New Testament tells us that the birth of Jesus was accompanied by dreams. Joseph was guided through dreams to take Mary as his wife, to escape to Egypt, to protect the life of his new son. 2 later dreams told him to return and to settle in Nazareth. The Apostle Paul saw a vision of the risen Christ on the road to Damascus, an event which converted him from persecutor to Christian. He also talks about visions and revelations which were granted to him, in which he saw the highest heaven and heard things which can't be put into words. And this is from 2 Corinthians 12, 1 through 4. The Bible gives ample evidence that God created dreams and visions as a means of communicating with us. God can still speak to individuals, just as he did Joel and Jonah and Joseph and Paul, and Moses and Abraham, so that people hear about the Word and the will of God. The truth is, ordinary people in our own day are constantly receiving communication from God by these means, and the power of these messages can still guide and inspire our lives. Now, there are times when our answers to prayers sometimes come in the form of a miracle of coincidence. And this is one of them. A former actress, now a widow, was having a hard time. Her husband's life insurance proceeds had run out, and she couldn't get a job. Her teenagers were growing out of their clothes, and the cupboard was bare. One morning, she was assessing her situation. The rent was overdue. Now, any of you math majors want to write these things down. The rent was overdue for $5.50. The electricity for $44, and she owed $31 for the phone bill. That meant she needed $625, and she only had $24 in her checkbook. She didn't have much, but she still had prayer. Before she went into town to run some errands, she took her Bible, placed it on the floor, and stood on it. Lord, you said to stand on your word, and you would supply all our needs. Well, here I am. Sounds like something you would do. Then she stepped down off her Bible and went on her way. Now, at the post office, her heart took a leap. She received 2 letters. One held a $310 residual check from an old commercial she had no idea was still running, and another was $75 refund check from a college that her son had applied to and didn't get into. With a renewed hope, she went to the bank to deposit the checks. That's when she received another joy. There had been a clerical error. Her checkbook balance was not $24, but instead $240. After the bank deposits, her balance was $625, which was exactly what she needed to pay her bills. Now that's a powerful coincidence. And even more powerful when you think about God had this all pre-planned even before she stood on the Bible. But she had faith. If God would choose a way to communicate to us without using a voice, I believe he would and is doing it through these little miracles and so-called coincidences. What exact relationship exists between a believer's prayers, answered and unanswered, and of God's predetermined plans and purposes does not have a simple answer. We do know, however, that the effective prayer of a righteous man can accomplish much. And that's from James 5:16. And also that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love him. And that's from Romans 8:28. God does have a purpose for our existence, a reason to go on, even though tough at times. Living through suffering and the seemingly small coincidences sets us apart for the glory of God. We gain perspective, a new perspective. We grow deeper in our awareness. I believe every so-called coincidence or answered prayer is God's way of letting us know he is thinking of us and he's there. I ask you this morning to keep your mind open to possibilities you have never imagined, and to just be aware and prepared for God's plan to come to light, not as a coincidence, but as his predestined purpose. Amen. Lord, help us to see you with new eyes, with new perspective, and constant love.